think about that the data points that we have on people just dramatically in the last 40 years exploded. So it started with simple data, administrative data, and went over managerial data. So people did their first tests, and then now everything is in the cloud. You have communication data in the cloud. You have communication as the data, so communication office data in the cloud. Of course, what kind of behaviors, you know where people go, you know about their entry system, etc. So tons of data that's there that's not used yet. So if you want to improve the speed of hiring, for example, or if you want to understand about who might be a good give more good references, there are some companies that offer services where you can ask people to unlock their contacts from their phones. And if you then find in the context, so to speak, someone who would fit from the network, this person gets automated the request to ask this person whether this person wouldn't want to join or do business with them. And then they get a kind of reward. So it's a voluntary program. People can join this, but if they say, okay, I just need to unlock my contact details and may do one email, and for this I could get my reward, it's much easier than if I really need to always advertise that people should ask their network, right? So I think this is an interesting point, what's possible. But you see, people analytics in many ways, this is one application, right? And I want to be a bit more broader. Means that you use data that exists to achieve strategic goals. And if your strategic goal is to improve the speed of the hiring process, what you need to do is actually, you need to think about that you let the data speak for itself. It is not so much that you have a theory, like what I gave you now was a theory, right? That it could be the recruitment process, or it could be that there's not enough references. But what you need to do is you need to really try to get as much data of the whole process as possible, and then let the data speak using machine learning. And so think about what's people analytics. This is maybe to start with a proper challenge, right? You need to have your question or your data to start really then to start the process. Then you need to have the domain knowledge. You need to have the recruitment expertise, so to say. You develop intuition over time, where to look at, and you need, of course, the quantitative talent to do things, right? And if you see where companies are, most of them, they are really just the fundamental, simple levels, right? They are really very fundamentally in identifying what happens. They say, look, well, my problem is I lose the candidates after the first interview. But what may be in reality happening is you don't lose them after the first interview. You just have a wrong match between recruiter and candidates. You just don't know because you don't take those data points into account. And this has different reasons, for example, because the data is all over in multiple systems that has different owners that don't want to share the data. It may be that you don't have the tools available or not the talent available. And you see this especially, what's done right now. There is a lot of stuff done with regards to talent analytics, but rather things, simple things like time to hire, time to fill, easy metrics, because people have a limited data pool. What you need to do, you need to go out, you need to talk with different parts of the company, you need to really get the data. It's a very political process and very important, because if you're talking about workforce planning, it's only 35% of the companies are doing it already. But then if you think about estimates of individual potential, right? Do you have the talent inside? If yes, you may want to understand that you need to have the post-hire and the pre-hire data that you need to connect to understand, yes, we have the talent inside. We rather want to look at people that can refill the talent pipeline so someone can move on. Over some, you may say, no, we don't have the talent, but they are good people, we want them to stay. But when we hire someone who directly goes to the leadership position. Managers should tell you, but if you know it in advance, you can start the recruitment process before the manager even knows that it starts. it even goes into understanding who would most likely leave the company or not, right? So this is pretty powerful actually, because where you want to go, into from prescribing to say, oh, we just lost 10% of employees in a key segment towards, what is a lot, right? Let's say 2%. Towards you want to predict and understand when you should start hiring, because there's a high likelihood that in 3 months you will lose some people. And this is actually this power of foresight is where it all needs to go. And this is also when you look in the maturity of functions and organizations. All organizations at one point in time should become more data-driven and insight-driven. But on the way to there, you have to just have different steps. And one of the steps is that you get the data from all places in the organization, put it in one place, that you then start an automated request routine, where it's about getting the data and coming up with forecasts and giving insights towards the individual departments. This is usually what people analytics does, and where you as talent acquisition have to work extremely tight with people analytics, or start the people analytics process maybe, right? To say, look, we predict that you will need those people in 1 year. And since we predicted, you can offer the stakeholders to start with the process earlier, right? So it's just a different way of thinking.